That's it then. That's our talk on Undead Unluck.
Undead Unluck. Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think about it.
Maybe go check it out for yourself. See what you think.
And seriously, let me know if you guys thought it was wacky or not, because I'm confused right now.
Right. Or if you thought it was like, trying to be something serious, like they're trying to tell some sort of deep story going on, and they just had like some wacky elements in there because they know who their target audience is. They know they're catering to young boys, so they throw in some action, some tits, and blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. As always, on Geek Off The Street, we don't agree on it.
We never agree.
But that's what makes this show great, I think. This is Geek Off The Street, your go-to channel for all things from obscure geekdom to modern-day pop culture and everything else in between. What's up, everybody?
Hello, hello.
We're back.
Hello, hello.
As we are starting our calendar year off right.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because we made the joke in that last episode about the calendar year and when it started. And I think we might have made the joke about like having a zodiac.
Yeah.
I've got that in the works.
Oh, you're actually working on it.
Yeah. Well, I've got somebody
working
on it. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Dude, it's pretty awesome.
That's like, yeah.
I'm once I get a little bit, more together, I will, mention where it came from, all that kind of stuff. But I put it out there.
Yeah.
Came up with it like somebody, he texted me back and like 20 minutes later with an outline that's like, it's crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yes, there's gonna be a Geek Off The Street Zodiac. Deal with it.
Dig it. That's awesome. But my name is Trent.
And my name is Mark.
And this is Geek Off The Street, the greatest podcast of all time. Talk about geek culture, pop culture, whatever else we want. Deal with it. What'd you call it? Spirit?
Yeah, the Spirit Gun.
And last year,
yeah, from
Yu Hakusho?
Yu Hakusho.
Okay, got it. Yeah, because this week's no exception.
Right.
As we're gonna get into the newly concluded. Yeah,
just
first
today.
Season.
Right?
Yeah, today. Yeah, first season. At the time of this recording. Sorry.
Yes.
But the first season of Undead Unluck.
Yeah.
Kind of a popular-ish anime. That's came out recently.
Yeah, I think the manga came out a couple years ago, right?
Yeah,
like in 2020 or something. So
it's also pretty recent, yeah.
Yeah.
So, so we're gonna get into that as just again concluded today, and we're gonna break it down a little bit.
Yeah, we are.
Before we do that,
lucky you.
Yeah, lucky for you guys. But what are we drinking this week?
Oh yeah, tell them it's
this is called it's a little take on the Corpse Reviver number 2.
Reviver.
So we're calling it the Corpse Reviver number 3. But basically, it's got gin.
Absinthe,
a little bit of absinthe, some
a little bit of lemon juice,
vermouth.
Gin. Did we mention gin already?
I mentioned the gin. Always mention gin.
Always mention gin.
Some dry, the Blanco vermouth, and
a lot of love.
Yeah, a lot of love. We had a little bit of the sour cherry. That's what made number 3. We want to get a little bit of a more
so
red
Geek Off The
complexion,
Street.
but yeah, it's pretty good. A lot of flavors in there. It's delicious.
It's it definitely got it's got the sour notes in it. I think between, like you said, the sour cherry and the lemon.
Really changed it up. But yeah, it's tasty. It's got a lot going on there, but I like the balance.
It does have like a freshness to it. And it's interesting because we use so little absinthe.
Yeah.
But I'm picking up on the absinthe.
Exactly.
I got like a
little hint of it.
Like a little finishing note of the absinthe, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I see why it's like literally half a teaspoon, because you can, if you put more than that, probably overpower the drink.
Yeah. And watch the video too, because I was like trying to tip.
Yeah.
When Trent was pouring it.
Yeah, it was.
I let's get some more absinthe in there. I know what they said, but I know what I know. But yeah, that was the right way to go, I think, because it's very subtle.
Yeah.
And absinthe has like a strong, like kind of a black licorice kind of flavor to it that some people may or may not be into.
Yeah, but kind of, I don't know, but absinthe to me though, it has like a nice burn to it that like makes that flavor good to me. I don't know.
No, I like it too. Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah. But yeah. So quick shout outs, man. I got a couple of major ones. First one is to the podcast. Why am I blanking? We were just talking about it. What
is it called? Is this any good, or does this suck, or does this?
We thought this was good.
Oh, okay. Yes,
We thought this was good was the podcast. Yeah.
Wow.
Great set of guys. It's two hosts. I think. Oh man, I'm already blanking on the name. I just left a review for them too. But it's Nick and Jim. I think are the hosts.
Right on.
I probably got that wrong. I'm gonna have to get that out.
The
point is though, they have a podcast essentially where they go back and watch like childhood movies or shows, things that they enjoyed, and they revisit them to see if they still hold up. Essentially, this is the premise of it. As far as I can tell, I've listened to a couple episodes. The match is pretty good. The concept's good, and I just listened to the Sandlot episode. One of my favorite movies as a kid, and they say it still holds up, and I agree.
Yeah,
but,
Sandlot, I believe it.
Yeah,
I remember that being a good movie.
Yeah. So so check them out. They'll be in the show notes. But we thought this was good. It was a great new podcast. They've been around for about a year now. But
okay, nice.
Yeah. And then also a bigger shout out to not a bigger shout out, but shout outs around. But to Burger Soul in Washington. I know I talked about it a couple of times. My favorite burger shop.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Ever. The owner Young, he had closed down the shop to open up a location, a physical location in Tacoma, but ran into some financial trouble. So he's struggling to get it open right now. So he's not someone who asked for help, but he put up a post and a GoFundMe situation to try to help with the some of the issues they ran into up there.
Right on.
And he's trying to get his restaurant back open because then he closed the other one. There's like a burger stand.
Yeah. And
so there's been no income for 4 months, 5 months, and it's just he's been having trouble trying to keep things going. So so he has GoFundMe. I'll put it in the show notes.
Nice.
If you guys can help out with Burger Soul, it's literally it's the best burger I've ever had in my life, and I used to go there so much when I lived up there.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's one point I think I was going there every week for like 2 or 3 months.
I ain't mad at you, man. I love a good hamburger.
Right? Yeah.
I love a good hamburger.
It was never bad, man. It was such a good burger. It was the guy's name is Young. He's a Korean guy that made a Korean fusion type burger.
Let's say, yeah.
And the patty was perfect, but the sauce, oh man, it was amazing. Best burger ever, man. And so yeah, if you guys can help, see if we can keep that restaurant alive, man, because he's done a lot for the community also.
Yeah.
Just a good dude, man. Good dude all around. Trying to live his, pursue his dreams.
Yeah.
And keep his restaurant going. So yeah,
that'd be cool. Yeah, maybe one day he'll make it out here too.
Yeah. I always tell him, man, dude, if you want to need a franchise, man,
right,
I'll help you out down here.
Make it out here.
Anyway, that was that for that. I think. Oh, and then we do have a review. I'm pretty sure it was from. We thought this was good. But while I'm pulling it off, you got anything to say?
Well, I do. A while ago, we had a fan and listener, and actually the first winner of the contest.
Danny.
Yes, Danny. He sent in this picture. I'm going to put it right there in front of the devil fruit that you can see. It's a cool little one-piece picture. Artist, their own style on it based on the live action. And we didn't have the artist's name last time, but I got it now, and it's John Greenwood.
Oh, okay.
Let me double check that, make sure I said the right thing. I did. It's nice. John Greenwood.
Nailed it.
So yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, if you want to check out some more of his art, he has a website. I'm sure you can go on and check it out. But punch him up, look for it. So we got the picture. It's a great picture too. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it's kind of based on the live action One Piece, but it's very stylish. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool.
So Danny, thank you for sending it. John Greenwood, thank you for doing it.
Yeah. Wow.
There we go.
Good stuff. So the review that we got on Apple Podcasts is from Zombie, which says, "Dig it, fun and funny. The dudes know their stuff. Highly recommend." Oh, thank you. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's the guys from that podcast.
Oh, okay, right on.
I thought this was good. So appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome, man. Keep your show going, and we'll do the same.
It is a great concept.
Yeah. But if you guys also want to leave us a review, we're not going to be mad at it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
do it.
Do that. Yeah.
Do it.
Is that it? That's it.
Yes.
Huh? We did it, right?
Yes.
We did it. Okay. Show's over. See you guys later.
That was it. It's gonna be one of those quick ones today.
Try to keep it tight today. So yeah. No, but let's get into this show, Undead Unluck. Right. Essentially, if you guys don't know what it's about, it is about this world where essentially not everybody, but the people with these abilities called negators essentially have an ability that can like defy the physics of the world, essentially.
Right.
The rules of the actual world we live in. The main character's name is Fuko. She is her ability is Unluck, which means if you touch her, you get hit with the stroke of Unluck.
Right.
And then the other main character is Undead, yeah, essentially, yeah. He just can't die. No matter what happens to his body, it always regenerates. Yeah, comes back, and then the world's kind of not full of, but there are a select few people, a group of people that have those abilities that cancel something out and negate something, essentially, and that's the world we live in. We pick up basically Fuko is ready to off herself because she's tired of bringing destruction to people.
Yeah, and the luck is pretty bad that she can bring. She had inadvertently killed her parents.
Yeah, along with an entire plane of other people.
Yeah. So it can be really bad. I don't know if she killed her grandfather. I think he might have passed of natural causes. Maybe I'm not sure. But it was a lot. Obviously it was a lot for her to deal with. So she gets to a point where she's ready to to end it all.
Yeah,
and then Undead comes in and saves her essentially for selfish reasons. That's how it seems at first.
At the beginning, for sure.
He does it just because he wants to die too.
Yeah.
So he's like, if I can't die, you know what I mean? Everything he does to himself, he comes back from it. So he's hoping her bad luck will be enough to
he can go out in the most wicked way possible.
Right.
Yeah, go with the little blaze of lore, that's how the show starts, and it kind of like changes a lot as it goes on. Yeah, but that's basically the premise of the story, and we're gonna get into that. So, what did we like off the bat?
Well, this is again talking about the artwork. There's some good and bad with it, but I will say, some of the background artwork was really fantastic. Like there was a part where I think they were in the ocean and it looked great. You know what I mean? Like with the starry night kind of reflecting off the ocean. It was, and I think I don't know if it's so much because of this show necessarily. I don't think I've seen anything that stylistic in any other anime as it was in this one. As far as the backgrounds were concerned, that particular one especially. But there was a really great scene where it gets kind of meta, which is another thing that I liked. Later on in it, they go to a manga studio, and there's this great shot of the manga studio itself, and it looked real. It looked like one of the scenes where somebody took a picture, and then they almost kind of just threw in some anime characters or some cartoon characters on top of a real picture. That always looks terrible, But on this, they did it so it worked. Like it was I'm gonna say it's clearly not real, but I don't think it was a real picture kind of thing. But it was animated and colored in such a way that it looked very, very real. Yeah. So that I thought that was fantastic. It was a great attention to detail. So the art in it at some parts was really great. The art was cool.
Yeah. I think for me on the show, man, I thought the concept of the abilities was super original. Like, I don't know if I don't watch a lot of anime, so I'm not sure if this has been like something similar was done before, but I think that idea of what these abilities are, like it negates something that's in the real world. That's your ability. Like that one guy, Rip Uncut or whatever. You can't like
you can't heal. It was unrepair.
Unrepair. He slices if he cuts you. You can't. Your wound won't heal. Right. Which is that's awesome. And then when you get to even like what was this? Shen, his was like untruth or something. Where like if you're gonna punch him, he can make it like the opposite. But you couldn't really figure out what his ability was for a while.
I can't remember what his power was because I know I'd seen those episodes where he was the main character
for a little bit.
For a little bit. Yeah. I didn't go back and rewatch.
I think it was revealed that it was untruth. So he basically makes you do like the opposite of what you're. If you're punching with the right hand, you end up being a left hand punch kind of thing. Okay. And he creates that, so he knows how to defend. Yeah. So I think that was his ability. But then what really what got me was the injustice. Was Juiz the main
the leader
of the union. Yeah, the injustice ability. Like it's like she cancels out your sense of justice. Like what you think is the right thing. Like I'm fighting for my family. Yeah. He's like, oh, is that what you believe? That's your justice? And then he's like, yes. And it's like, okay, well then you lose because I make it the opposite now. Like that. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was pretty cool. Like, so those abilities were super original. I really liked the way they did that. And then even the those things were called the Umas or whatever. Those like physical manifestations of something in the world.
Yeah.
Like so, like the unspoil character or the unspoil.
Was that the first one or
The one with the zombies?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
that might be the spoil, yeah.
Yeah, spoil. So that that's like so things spoil in the world, right? Everything spoils in the world, and this one was got under control. So like it was like a manifestation of something that happens to everything and that dies. You know what I mean? And then they couldn't kill it because if they killed spoil, like nothing would spoil anymore. So like it was like that kind of situation. Or there's like a the same with like the autumn, right? They couldn't kill autumn because then there'd be no autumn season. But they did that. So it was kind of an interesting take on what like a physical manifestation of something that's real in the world.
Yeah.
So I thought like that was super original.
Yeah. That's very cool. I don't know if I thought about it too much, but actually that's a very good point. That is a unique way to bring a power set into a world. Because everybody's got their own thing, whether it's magic or psychic or you're building up your, mana or your chakra, whatever it may be. They got these different creative things to do. Yeah. So that's actually pretty cool. That is a clever way of bringing powers into a world,
right? Yeah,
and making it different.
Yeah, super original. And like, yeah, I think I was reading about. I don't think it was in the anime, but there's a character. There was like another Uma that was like a giant hornet.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a bugs basically.
Yeah,
and that was another thing that could be killed because they would get rid of all the bugs in the world, which would cause tons of damage. So like the Union was essentially trying to regulate a lot of that stuff to make sure that you don't lose it all.
Right,
but also that doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, and it should be mentioned too that these guys, they are dealing with I don't know, these prophecies that come along.
Oh yeah,
there is God or a God in this world that's kind of
it's doing all this.
Yeah, that's doing a lot of it. So yeah, everything that they're doing is it's not just they're just walking down the street and like, oh, there's autumn, let's go save it. They've got a mission, you know what I mean, and they've got like parameters, a time frame. They're told specifically, through their round table and like the information they get, that they've got to go and save whatever, stop whatever, bring back whatever.
Yeah,
and they're in this tug of war, and the consequences can be pretty steep if they for whenever they lose, they lose something. It's not just oh, we didn't win this time, let's go to the locker room and try again. Something gets lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or something new happens.
Yeah, like at one point in time, like everybody in the world, like all of a sudden everybody speaks English. Yeah. Like there's no languages in the world.
Right, yeah.
So it was,
and nobody but the negators are still aware of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the whole world will forget about it. Or like was that a consequence that the galaxy, that the universe was born? Like the rest of the universe was?
Yeah, I want to say it was a consequence, but that seems like it's not a bad thing. That seems like it's a good thing that everyone can speak the same language, I would think, but.
Yeah, I think the language might have been a good one, but I think when the universe opened up, I think that was a consequence. I think, from what I remember. But yeah. So yeah, that was there's a lot of like those things individually were very, very cool about the show. Yeah. Even like, and yeah, I would like the more that Undead would reveal like new abilities, like just when the first time you see him, he like. His bone sticks into the building when he catches, like when he's trying to catch Fuko, yeah. And I was like, "What? That's his leg bone. Like, what's going on here?" And then like you just see him like chopping his legs off to get a boost with his blood. Like, it's absolutely ludicrous. But I was cracking up. The more that would happen, or like his finger bullets and stuff, it was just like there's all these like just ridiculous things. But it's just like you're with this ability for a long time, you figure out how to maximize it. Yeah. And he's been around for so long. Right. Yeah, he's that guy, So right. Yeah,
because he can't die.
Yeah, exactly. So there's those concepts were really original. And I really enjoyed those parts of the show for sure.
Right on.
Any positives?
I will say for me, the show really started to pick up, I think, around episode 16 or so. Once I think it was around the time that there's like a bad group out there called Under.
Oh yeah.
And they have some, they are a group that has their negators as well, and they've got their own powers and they've got their own agenda.
Yeah.
And at one point in time, they come into conflict with Union, and Union takes a pretty big loss.
Yeah.
So I mean, they in the show they kind of say it's a draw, but they're able to kind of spin it.
Yeah.
For their own sake. But after that, I think for me, the show got a little more interesting. It kind of picked up because now there were some pretty, like, I don't know, the consequences were pretty better. Like things were revealed that it makes it seem like, okay, there is something real going on here. It's not just an excuse to, throw punches at each other. There's something going on in this world, or there's a secret going on.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty big one. And it kind of gets into the point of what Union's trying to do. They're trying to, stop a cycle of chaos, essentially. So like I said, that it kind of picked up at that point once that's revealed.
Yeah.
So it got
the world's like on a loop essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the 100th time. It's like it's happened again, I think. Or yeah, they're on the 100th time, I think, at this point. And Juice has been through all of them. Like she's taken the arc and gone on to the next universe is born.
Yeah.
And has tried over and over to try to win, basically.
Like Galactus.
Yeah, right. So no, it's that it definitely opened up, and then you find one of the Union members is actually the leader of Under, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. And then so
spoilers.
Oh yeah, spoilers. But yeah, no, there's a lot of like that it did pick up for sure. At that, at that point. Let's see. I kind of liked. I mean, I'm not a super smart person, so I can admit that, and I'm not I'm analytical in some senses, but I'm like not in other senses, I guess, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I didn't understand a lot of what was going on in these last couple episodes, like the last 3 or 4 episodes, maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't really get how everything fit together at the end, so it kind of got a little weird, but also I kind of like some of the ideas they're putting in there. It seemed like it got kind of a little meta in some ways. And,
I was gonna say that too.
Yeah, the Ano character, the manga artist, was kind of like, it wasn't just a random artist. Like he was actually like seeing the future, pulling some of the strings, and kind of like seeing the past and kind of trying to fit it all together. I liked when Fuko went into Andy's memories. Yeah. And was in there for 10 years, apparently, Yeah. Like when she went back and found out like everything about him and found out the source of his power and how to make him stronger on the outside. And then, and I liked that he could like interact with that and remember it, and be a part of that. Like she actually became a part of his history.
Right. In a sense, I don't think I think at one point, like, Ano or whatever her name is, I think he said, or she said that, like, it didn't literally happen. Yeah. But on some level, like you said, like he remembers it. So it didn't, like I said, it didn't literally happen, but it at the same time, it did kind of happen. That's why he's able to remember it. Yeah. Or he remembers like that situation. You know what I mean? I'm sure he remembers both. Like, this is what really happened. But I remember when, she came into my mind, like almost like, I don't want to say like a video game kind of thing, but something similar to that doesn't really make sense. But so it was weird because she was part of his past, but probably only for him. Probably only for him is a good way to think of it. Yeah.
And then I think the last thing I just wanted to say was that I liked all the negators because essentially all of them were like built from trauma. Like all their abilities had come from some or had resulted in some sort of trauma. Yeah. And being a negator was lonely. Like it was a very lonely existence, and like it like kind of created who they were and how they responded to it. Essentially, like Fuko was going to kill herself, and then now Under are these other ones that want something different than what Union wants. You know what I mean? But they're all from the same place, essentially, but they're doing different things, and but they all come from like. Essentially, they're from a shitty place, you know what I mean? When they either learn about their abilities or how they live, you know what I mean? It's a pretty lonely existence. Yeah. And it kind of makes that relatable in a sense, in a lot of ways, and you feel for the characters. Like when you, like the Ano-un, when you see his past, or Akira as a boy, you know, his past,
that sucked. Yeah,
a relationship with his mom,
Yeah.
and then even Fuko's past, and then you see a lot of Andy's past or Undead's past. Like everybody's pasts are pretty crappy, you know what I mean? Like because of their abilities, essentially. So made an extra layer, I think, to the story.
Yeah.
Like some of those were sad, like super sad. So
That's
I was
cool.
like, yeah. So I think that was good for the character development.
Yeah.
Any other positives?
I can't think of any other positives. Not really.
No,
Not really.
Jump to negatives.
Yeah.
All
right, I'll go first.
You go first?
Let me go. I really didn't care for the series overall too much. I mean, those were super great points that you brought up about.
I know. I'm aware.
He said modestly. Thanks. But for me, it felt like, and I said again, there's 24 episodes. For me, it didn't really get, interesting until the 16th episode. So for me, it felt like there was a lot of just kind of random adventures and, kind of random stuff or whatever stuff they made up as, being the cause was, that's what the whole show felt like. The character, I mean, for one, the character designs I didn't care for too much. I mean, Andy's character, sure, they want to make him look, he's kind of like, kind of psycho crazy or whatever. He's kind of like a Japanese version of Deadpool or a manga version of Deadpool, where he's kind of crazy, he's unkillable, and he's always got this crazy, look on his face, which to me just it felt more like you're trying too hard to look crazy as opposed to like genuinely being crazy. Again, that's for me. Fuko, again, I'm going, I almost feel like I'm, being mean right now, talking about the character design. I feel like I'm talking about their appearance. But yeah, Fuko, I mean, again, it's a shonen. So she's got, gigantic breast, which is great.
I was gonna say, that's negative for you?
No, it's great. But for me, when I see somebody that's like 4'3" and they've got like F cups going on, it's like at that point, now I'm thinking like, now I feel bad for you more than anything else. I feel like you've got to be so incredibly uncomfortable. I mean, your back is going to give out.
Maybe it looked bigger because she was so small.
Maybe.
I remember I'm a professional, but
maybe.
I'm sure those are in the D's, right? I don't know. What are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
We're talking about breast size. We don't know anything. What are we talking about? Yeah.
Nobody knows nothing. Don't cancel anybody. Relax. Yeah. What else? Like I said, character design didn't care for. And you know what? When it came to Andy and using his, blood power in all these kind of crazy ways, at one point in time, like he's using his power is basically undead, right? So he doesn't die. But he gets to a point where he's actually making like blades of blood in his arm, right? So now I'm thinking like, okay, he's a bloodbender, or he's got like hemokinesis kind of thing. I made that up. Blood telekinesis, hemokinesis. Like, how is he doing that kind of thing? Like, that's not what your power is. But then they actually kind of say it. They kind of explain it. Like later on, like after, she comes out of his mind, blah, blah, blah. He's kind of saying like, you can do whatever you want to do. He says something like that, like, whatever you want to do, or, the rules don't apply to you, because I know like the manga artist was like, you're following the rules. You need to stop doing that kind of thing. And that's how they explain it. But to me, it just felt like it was just an excuse to be like, now we want to do whatever we want with this power. To me, it didn't feel genuine. It just felt like it was something that you don't pay attention to. Just shut up and take it. Just listen to what we're saying, because now he can do whatever he wants with his power. So now, I mean, so at one point he can spurt blood out of his, healing legs so incredibly fast that it causes him to fly or whatever. Okay, it seems crazy, but that's fine. But like I said, then when he starts making blades and doing all this other kind of stuff with his blood, it felt like you're just kind of doing whatever you want. I wasn't a huge fan. Do you want to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I wasn't a huge fan of they had this one kind of cool meta scene where they have to create a manga so they can get close to the manga artist that they're, Ano or whatever her name is, that they're trying to get their, hands on, trying to talk to. So, they kind of cut up, this crazy thing where you can draw and it's going to create like, she had like these robotic arms that were helping her and everybody was jumping in and helping. I don't know how long it took for them to create this manga. It seemed like they did it maybe that day or maybe it was a couple days, maybe. But the physical work I can appreciate, and I'm just being nitpicky. The physical work I can appreciate you knocking out that fast with your powers and everything else going on. I just feel like the story itself would need, just in general, like, hey, we're doing this. We need to write this. You need to tell this. The drawing I get, but coming up with like scripts and dialogues and all that kind of other kind of stuff for the manga, they did that immediately. But whatever. Again, it's a shonen, so that's what they do. That's
your nitpick out of all the things that are in this ridiculous world.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of them. Let me give you some other ones.
All right.
So it kind of annoyed me that they were trying to find this Ano character or whatever his name is, right? Or her name is. So Fuko, and this takes place like within the span of like an hour. Fuko meets, she has a meeting with the manga company or whatever. They like what she does. So then they bring her back to the office or whatever. And then they're like, oh, whatever, oh, you're a fan of this artwork or whatever. You're a fan of this manga artist. That's great. Let's go look at their manuscripts that they're trying to get their hands on that they want to see. So now not only have they been like hired immediately, now they're in the office and now they're ready to see the hidden manuscripts that nobody knows about. So then on top of finding the hidden manuscripts, then they actually called what's her face Ano or whatever. So within the span of like the episode before, it's like, you guys need to basically become manga artists, or they said you need to go and find this creator, right? So they had to become a manga artist, and then they have to get hired. They get hired by the company. My point is they were trying to do all this stuff to get to this person, to find the manuscripts and then get to the writer. Like if you are a writer, let's say you write stories, you are not in the span of an hour going to go to a publishing company. The publishing company is going to bring you indoors. Then the publishing company is going to say, hey, these are George R.R. Martin's secret books for like the Game of Thrones stories. A concert for wolves, whatever. I made that up. That's not a thing. So that's like the secret manuscript. And now you get to see it. It's like, wow, that's crazy. And then all of a sudden, George R.R. Martin's going to call. They're going to call George R.R. Martin while you're sitting there and like, hey, George R.R. Martin, this person wants to talk to you. Can they talk to you? It felt, and again, it's a shonen, which means, I don't know, you gotta let some stuff go. But for me, it was super annoying that they were able to do all this stuff within the span of like an hour, maybe two, which should have been something that you have to kind of, work your way up to. Or maybe you got to do some investigating when no one's around. You got to, you know what I mean? It was, if you were to see that in a movie, it'd be like, wow, all this miraculous stuff happened within the span of an hour, which should have taken a little bit more time to do. So again, nitpick. So,
all right. Go ahead. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But in a world where if you bite your fingertip and it turns into a bullet, like that's not the craziest thing that I think I've seen in the show. I think that's
a whole different thing, though.
I think with this show, why it's okay to me is that the entire show takes that approach to everything. I think that, and that's an issue. That's a negative, also. I think, which I'll get into in a second, but. I think that there's no rules set up in this world, essentially. Like it's that type of anime where it's just like there's no rules.
And I can accept that with the powers. I can accept that with the powers,
but not with a manga company.
I
think the fact that they even had to create a manga in the middle of this like
that was cool,
chaotic action world,
and it was very
that's
meta.
Already ridiculous. I think.
Right on. I mean, but that was their way in, so I can accept that as their way into getting close to this manga artist. It makes sense. If they don't know anywhere, they don't have no way to find this person or whatever, I could accept that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But and again, like someone having powers to like, fire off their, that's, his power. But that doesn't even make sense that you would go from A all the way down to G, within the span of an hour.
Mm.
And again, like I said, I know it's a shonen, so that's kind of what you just accept with a comic aimed at younger boys. You just kind of let it go. But like I said, if you were to see something like that in a movie, for example, it would seem like, wow, that's convenient. Oh, now that's convenient. Oh, now that's convenient. There's so many convenient things that happen like dominoes. It seemed a little, I don't know. I didn't care for it. And again, like someone having powers to shoot, their fingertips off, that's the guy's power. So they've established that. That's fine. If they somehow establish that you can, jump to that point that fast.
Well, see, because I'll see it like the same way as like Jane and Silent Bob Strike Back, right?
Okay.
Like the whole premise is them going to Hollywood trying to stop a movie getting made about them.
Yeah.
So because they're not getting paid for it, essentially.
Yeah.
And they go to Hollywood and they get on set with no problem, and they end up in the movie and on the set in the costumes within a span like an hour essentially. And but it's because this movie's ridiculous.
Exactly.
The whole thing, it's been this ridiculous since from beginning to end.
Right. And so, that. Yes, I agree.
So you just believe that that's what happens because that isn't a rule that's set up in here. You know what I mean?
So to me, if that movie is ridiculous, and it's supposed to be, it's not a ridiculous movie, it's supposed to be ridiculous. That same concept would apply to this series. This series would be ridiculous. This anime series.
Which it is.
Okay.
I think. So I think
I don't think it tried to pass itself off as being ridiculous, though.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
I don't think it took itself seriously at all. And I think that was one of the major points of it is that it was very ludicrous. Like I think that was what he was,
I'll definitely agree with that.
I think he was going for just this crazy thing that we had to top the next thing with the next crazy thing.
Yeah.
Top with the next crazy thing. And so
in that case, it makes sense then.
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
In that case, it jives.
That's how I saw it. But I mean, if you didn't see it that way, obviously that's how you saw it. But and now, do I like it? That's the different question. That's a different story.
Yeah.
Because not necessarily, right? Because I mean,
it's popular, right? So some people do like it. So.
Yeah, and people talk a lot about the manga because I guess it gets even crazier in the next season.
Yeah.
This is a type of anime for a certain type of group, I guess. I like the erratic, crazy stuff that just kind of happens and things happen, and then there's not
there's a lot of that.
There's not a big through line.
Everything's zany. Yeah,
I didn't watch a lot of it, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of that show. Is it Gintama?
Yes.
Just like crazy, like bunch of just stuff happens, right?
Yeah.
To me, it seemed like it was like that, and I knew people that was their favorite anime, and I watched a little bit, and I was like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
But it's your favorite anime, you know what I mean? So I think it works for what that style is. It's not for me because one of my negatives was that I didn't understand what the point of the the story was. But by the end of the show, I was like, I don't really understand how all this happened. Like, I don't even know how we got here at this point. And I was like, I mean, this show is ridiculous, so maybe it's just a part of what the show is trying to be. But it didn't work for me. I wasn't engaged by the story. I wasn't necessarily engaged by a lot of the plots or a lot of the journeys the characters went on. I didn't really care about a lot of that. So there wasn't any moment in time watching this show where I was like hooked. Like, it wasn't like I was excited. There wasn't any moment like that in this show,
right?
And because I like story, I like characters, that's my thing. And this didn't have a lot of that. There was no through line. There was no main point really, and that's why the show was great for me.
Yeah. Maybe it's not fair to think that way for a shonen. I know I've been using that word. That's the word of the day, kid. Shonen.
Yeah.
I've been saying that quite a bit. Maybe again, I was thinking about it from a perspective of me, how I view things as a person that, watches movies in America, right? Like, you're looking for, A, B, and C. Like, you're looking for certain boxes to be checked off. And that show, this anime, definitely does not do that. So I don't know, maybe that's part of the issue too. Maybe you have to look at this in a different way. Not you, I just mean people in general have to look at this show in a different way to like it, appreciate it, understand it. I don't know, but I've seen other anime, and again, maybe that's part of the problem too. I'm comparing it to other anime. I've seen other anime that are, that do provide that. They do provide like a good mystery. They do provide a good, characters that have their arcs and that go through their ups and downs and all that kind of, stuff that we like and appreciate, or, typically. But I certainly didn't see any of that in this, but maybe it wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah. I think it comes down to who it's marketed towards. Because, again, you and I weren't huge fans of Spy Family, right?
Right.
But that's a hugely popular show that a lot of people love.
Right.
And I think even when we were talking about it, I think somebody responded to one of our clips and said, "This is marketed to everybody." And I was like, "Well, it wasn't marketed to me." So it wasn't marketed to everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think, I think it depends on who it's marketed to or what you look for in anime, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing with how I fucking hate Peacemaker and you and RJ liked it.
Oh yeah.
I don't want that in my superhero movies.
Right.
I fucking hated that series. I thought it was the worst piece of shit ever, but you guys enjoyed it, right?
Yeah.
So it's that same type of thing. Like you can glean something out of it.
Yeah.
When somebody else does it, you know what I mean? But
right.
It's like how do you see it that way? But that's just how people are. People like different things.
Exactly.
That's
what
it is.
That's true. Very
and
true.
I rewatched the first 2 episodes of Peacemaker, and I still fucking hated it. That was last week because we were doing what we changed our minds on. So I went back. I think Peacemaker was the one I was the most critical about, and I think I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, dude, this shit, I still fucking hate this.
I was thinking about watching that again too.
Yeah,
a while ago. I think we're not going to get into Peacemaker, but I know with me, I think. And it's okay. See, with Peacemaker, maybe that is a good point. Like with Peacemaker, to me, that show was silly right out of the gate. And I looked at it as a silly property.
Yeah.
All the way through. So I guess when I'm looking at it, like it's in a bucket of silly. So if something serious comes up, it's like whatever, it's still a silly show. And I think when I was looking at this show, Undead Unluck, I looked at it like it was trying, I don't know, like I looked at it like it was taking itself seriously. That's how I looked at it.
Okay.
But maybe that's not the point. Maybe it is something silly with some elements of seriousness that pop up in it. But I thought, with all this world ending stuff that they're talking about, for me, it kind of seemed like some of those concepts were interesting, talking about, which is something else. Like the world has ended, almost 100 times apparently. So Jue gets in the arc or whatever, like when the world starts over, and maybe that's something they tell you later, like where does it start over? Does it start all the over from like the beginning of time? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Does it start over from, the year 1600? Like, where does it start over? Like, what does it mean to start over again? And where does she jump on board?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, if it starts all the way over from the beginning, and they should have said it, like it starts over from the beginning, and maybe she jumps on board where she left. You know what I mean? Like if she left in 1990, she comes back in 1990 of the new world. Maybe. Because I'm trying to figure out how it works exactly with that whole arc thing. But again, like I said, some of the concepts I thought were cool and interesting, but it reminded me of something that what Greg Sorber said. Greg Sorber, author of the Mech-Haven series, go check that out, please. When he was talking about a lot of the story ideas that he had, he said there were some that he didn't want to address yet or didn't want to bring up yet because he wanted to make sure that he did them justice.
Yeah.
And to me, it felt like these guys were trying to or attempting to tackle something that they weren't ready for necessarily. That's how I felt. I could be 110% wrong. But to me, it felt like they had like this great concept that they wanted to go for, but then they just put in like, the silly, crazy looking guy, the girl with, big tits that she had to kiss him every once in a while and she was shy about it and all that kind of, whatever nonsense. I felt like they were going for something that they weren't the ones to tell the proper story for that. That's my take on it. And like I said, for a majority of the show, I really didn't care for it too much. It got a little more interesting, like I said, after episode, I think it was 16 and on. It got a little more interesting. But yeah, that's about it though for me.
All right.
Did you have anything else?
No, that was basically it. I think respectfully, I disagree. I think
sure.
I feel like they weren't taking themselves seriously trying to just introduce this ridiculous concept to this world. But I guess we'll see if it gets to season 2. It hasn't been announced yet, but if it gets to season 2, I guess we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I mean, like I said, it seems like it's popular. So
and I think there's only like 100 and something volumes.
It's still going though, right?
Yeah. It didn't end yet?
Oh, the manga?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was still going.
I thought I was reading something about them. What happens in the second arc, essentially, and I thought that's where it is, because I don't want to ruin anything.
Second,
but, I mean, I didn't care about the spoilers. I was reading stuff about it, and I was like, "Oh, that happens. Okay, cool." But yeah. So, but Anyway, I guess we'll see what they're trying to do with it. Either way, regardless of which one it is, either one didn't work for me. If they're taking themselves seriously, that didn't come across.
Right.
If they were trying to be ridiculous, that's cool, but that's not my style of what I enjoy about storytelling.
Yeah, and I feel like that didn't come across.
Okay, yeah. So
the silly aspect of it,
right? So So either way, that's not quite working for me.
Right. Now, taking all that into account and knowing how some people might feel about it, do you recommend it?
If you like those types of anime, again, if Gintama is your favorite anime ever of all time, then you'll probably like Undead Unluck, I think. From my point of view, because it's just one of those, just a lot of random crazy stuff happens, and this is the world. Like, I don't know, like what, Tenchi Muyo or something like that. Something like this is not like a serious. Yeah, it's like a wacky show.
See, and I was about to say that too. I won't dwell on this, but I've only seen like a little bit of Gintama, but I've seen some of Tenchi Muyo, and that thing was supposed to be. It was almost like Peacemaker. It's established as being silly. I feel like Undead Unluck was not established as being something silly, or maybe not. At least it was certainly not as silly as from my understanding of Gintama. But I'll stick with Tenchi Muyo. Like that was kind of a silly show. Yeah, you know what I mean. And that like from day one kind of thing. And at either Undead Unluck is a different kind of silly show, or they didn't do a very good job of passing themselves off as that's what they were supposed to be. So.
I don't know. I think I assumed when I saw him slice his own legs off to rocket using his own blood, I was like, yeah, this is a silly show. Like this is a wacky show.
But everything else after that, though, I didn't feel like it was coming off as.
I mean, they ended up in like a zombie town with a zombie bride, that is still kind of aware. Like that's pretty wacky to me.
I don't know if they were going for wacky with that, in my opinion.
Really? Like
I don't think it was supposed to be wacky.
Semi zombified woman that's kind of aware, but
right. I think it's supposed to be. I think they're going for sweet. The fact that she saved her kids.
That's not wacky to you. This like zombie lady that wants to get married.
I mean, is it silly to you that she wanted to save her kids and that she hugged what's her face at the end so she could go out in a blaze of glory kind of thing?
That part's fine, but like the concept that her only thing is like I need you to marry me and I will show you how to where the spoil monster's at. Like that's wacky. That's super wacky to me. That's not a wacky concept to you, like marrying a zombie lady?
Like I said, there was some wacky stuff, and then they had some other serious kind of stuff they were trying to put in there too. So
yeah, but I mean, don't all of them do that? Like Peacemaker did the same thing. Like they try to do some serious moments with some wacky stuff, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that's a no or what?
Yeah, sure they did. I'm sure they did. I don't know. I'm not trying to necessarily bring up. I haven't seen Peacemaker in a minute, so
it's Same.
But the only difference is, again, with Peacemaker, while they might have thrown up some silly stuff, again, like I said, for me, like Peacemaker, Tenchi Muyo, maybe Gintama, to me, those shows established themselves as being ridiculous. They established themselves as not taking it seriously. I don't feel like this anime did that. If they had done that from the beginning, they could have done whatever they wanted. They could have done all the crazy, silly stuff they wanted to. I feel like they had like some moments of silliness in there. It's just the opposite, as a matter of fact. Like Peacemaker, again, a whole bucket of silly with some serious moments. This show felt like it was more, again, I'm beating a dead horse. It was somewhat more, I think it took itself more seriously, but they threw in some silly moments, some comical moments. It was almost like the what were we talking about with Scarlet Witch with Ralph Boner. It was like they were like these little Ralph Boner moments, and they're just some silly moments that they threw in there, kind of thing.
And you didn't feel that way about Peacemaker, but you felt that way.
Well, again, like I said, Peacemaker established itself as a ridiculous show. For me, from the beginning. For me, with Peacemaker, as soon as you see that dance number that they do in their opening monologue, or not monologue, or their opening like theme song, to me, I looked at that show and said, this show is ridiculous. This show is completely dumb. I felt like, for me, I got that right from the beginning. So I didn't really take the show. I don't want to say I didn't take it seriously, but I knew what I was getting. I knew not to look at it the same way I would, watch Breaking Bad kind of thing, or Game of Thrones, or whatever you want to, throw in there.
Yeah.
I looked at it completely differently. It was in its own lane, and I just don't feel like this show was in like the quote unquote the silly lane.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. So if you were to ask me who I recommend this to, I recommend it to people who like Tenchi Muyo or Gintama or wacky shows. That's my opinion. That's how I saw this show. Mark, obviously not.
Mark, obviously not so much. I would, as far as like, that like the rating scale, like where to put it, like drop what you're doing. I wouldn't necessarily say avoid it. I wouldn't go that far, because some people, again, a lot of young people that are into shonens, they might like it because there's action in it. To me, it doesn't, a lot of it doesn't jive or make sense, but some people might like it. So I would say maybe if you got nothing else to watch, maybe like put it in your queue, and, if you got nothing else to watch, come around to it later. If you're into anime kind of thing.
Yeah,
you can check it out, but
I would say
I would not say drop what you're doing.
Our rating is meh. I think is in the middle.
Somewhere, that's true. That's true.
I'm not in a rush to watch the next season. I wouldn't recommend it necessarily. I wouldn't put it in your. I mean, maybe put it in your list if you're looking for something to watch.
Yeah.
And again, if
it depends on the person you're talking to, all that kind of nonsense. But
it wasn't for me, not my show, and I'm more meh. Like it's all right. So if I'm going percentage wise, 62. I'd say 62 or 63, something like that.
Yeah,
like it's all right, but doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, I might give it like a 55. I don't think there's anything. Again, we talked about the artwork, but I wouldn't say, oh, I want to see some cool artwork, so let me, turn on Undead Unluck kind of thing. But to me, there's nothing to watch the show for.
Interesting.
Really.
Okay.
So
fair enough. All right. That's it then. That's our talk on Undead Unluck.
Undead Unluck. Yeah.
Let us know what you guys think about it.
Maybe go check it out for yourselves. See what you think.
And seriously, let me know if you guys thought it was wacky or not, because I'm confused right now.
Right. Or if you thought it was trying to be something serious, like they're trying to tell some sort of deep story going on, and they just had like some wacky elements in there because they know who their target audience is. They know they're catering to young boys, so they throw in some action, some tits, and blah, blah, blah.
Interesting.
Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. As always, on Geek Off The Street, we don't agree on it.
We never agree.
But that's what makes this show great, I think. So. All right, last thing we are talking on Undead Unluck. Anything we're going to do this week?
Ooh, I went to Disneyland over the weekend with some of my friends. They know who they are. What's up, guys? But the cool thing was I went to the Storyteller Cafe, which is part of California Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one of the hotels over there. You can get to it right off of like downtown Disney. But it's cool because it's like a buffet at Disneyland, which is cool. Mm. And then on top, you don't have to like get a ticket to Disneyland, I don't think. But on top of that, though, they have like a lot of different Disney characters will come to the table and, you know, do all that kind of stuff. So it was fun for that reason. But it was cool to go to Disneyland and only have to like, you know, buy one meal and not have to eat the rest of the day kind of thing, because you filled up at the buffet. There was no time limit. They weren't like, you know, you got to be out of here in like, you know, 50 minutes kind of thing. So yeah, we were able to sit there, eat. And yeah, because you end up spending a lot between like on food and drinks and everything else at Disneyland is not cheap. But yeah, that was actually pretty cool though. So yeah, if you ever are in the downtown Disney area, check out the Storyteller Cafe. It was pretty cool.
Very nice. Very cool.
Yeah. What about you? Do you do anything?
What have I seen this week? Nothing much really, I guess, huh? I started watching some Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
At this point in my life, again, we just talked about Akira Toriyama, rest in peace, and his contributions. But at this point in my life, I'm just not interested. I think I watched 7 or 8 episodes. Goku's training with King Kai now, and Gohan's getting trained by Piccolo. And I just don't care, man.
I still love that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just not like I'm not at this point in my life. I'm just not interested in it. I think I'm so far. I don't know. It's so hard at this point for me to be like. I've been having trouble getting into anime. I've been trying to really get into all of it that's been popular. At least what's popular now. Yeah. And it's not been working for me. So having to go back and watch Dragon Ball Z, I think I am well removed from Dragon Ball Z from when I was 10 watching it to now as a mid-30s man. You know. So I get the charm. I do remember loving it a lot when I was younger, but I just. Yeah, it's just like, I need to get stronger to fight the next bad guy. And that's the whole plot so far, it seems to me. But so it's not doing much for me. Also, I guess this is what I'm not into this week, is what I'm talking about so far. What it sounds like. But I saw the trailer for The Acolyte, the new Star Wars trailer. I don't know. We don't know what's going on. The trailer doesn't tell us anything. So
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, and then also just with everything that Leslie Headland's been doing, it's been not great.
True that.
So not that I want anything to fail. If it ends up being good, awesome. Yeah, I would fantastic. Love to get one good Star Wars something at some point in the next decade. That'd be great. And if this is the one, then cool, let's have it. But so far,
can you imagine we gotta wait for Star Wars to go to like the private domain or something before we get anything good?
Yeah, no, it's actually really sad, man. And like, if you really look back at like the track record of Star Wars, really since Disney's taken over, overall, I would say 85% of what they have done, has been damaging the brand, right? And it's kind of like getting to the point where more like it's becoming unbalanced now. It's like where there's more bad than there is good in Star Wars now. And like when are we gonna learn? You know what I mean? Like when are you guys gonna learn that your fans are important? You know? And I don't know. Don't want to ever knock anybody. I don't know what it's like to be an executive of an entire IP. Yeah. But the people that are in charge are not handling it right now. Right. And it's kind of unfortunate. So and it's gonna take them losing a lot of money. Right. Kind of how like the Marvels lost a ton of money. A ton of money. Now they're like, okay, now we got to look at it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So not everything they're doing is losing money between Disney and Marvel. Yeah. Like the big things that they acquired.
The Disney movies aren't doing well. Yeah. The Marvel movies aren't doing well. And now it seems like Star Wars stuff isn't doing well.
You guys got to go back to square one.
Okay. Man. Well, now as an executive, why are we not making money? Yeah. And that's the conversation now. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's good that it's getting looked at now, Yeah,
but hopefully.
We'll see what happens.
Hopefully they'll make those hard choices.
Exactly, yeah.
Fire some people. But let me throw out really quick because I forgot. I started watching X-Men 97.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually pretty good.
Really?
It's actually really good. The artwork it's kind of sharper and clear in some areas. But in some places, it reminded me of the classic like 60s Spider-Man
the
kind of thing where it's like, Spider-Man would talk to you like like this for a while, and then he would he'd go like that. And then even before that, they had like other like Marvel characters or Marvel animated shows, and it was just Marvel characters like on a string, and like their mouths would not move or barely move. It's like they were just cutting stuff out and making the animation, so it was pretty bad. But the show, the concepts are, I was gonna say they're adult concepts. You could take that either way. Keep it clean. But it does get into the whole X-Men to me has always kind of been about, it's a race of people that are being persecuted against, and they lean into that with this show. They get into that. So it's really good.
Now, is it continuing off of the last one?
Yeah, apparently it is. Yeah, because it literally, it's the same character designs, all the kind of stuff. I won't spoil anything with it, but I recommend it though. It's actually, they've only dropped 2 episodes. I'm not sure when they're going to be airing. But the 2 episodes they are very good, and they're mature concepts. Like the stuff they're talking about, you see where the good guys, quote unquote, and the bad guys, quote unquote, are coming from. Like it's smart writing for an animated show. So that's cool. Invincible's back on as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So
I gotta start. I haven't even watched any second season. Invincible's just not my thing, man. So
but it's probably, I think most people that have seen Invincible will probably say it's one of the best superhero things that's on the air right now. Because we're not getting anything from Marvel and DC, we know that. So and the show, it's taken some twists. They are pulling the trigger on characters, which is always not. You don't want to say it's good to see, but it's good to see that they aren't holding back. You know what I mean? So it's so check that out as well. So
for sure,
those are the big ones.
Nice. Okay, cool. So next week we're gonna be talking about solo leveling, I think. That's going to be ending the first 12 episodes. I think the next episode will be the last episode will be I'm up to date on it too. So same. So I got quite a bit to say about it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, another no withholding.
Let's fight.
I'll withhold it. I'm not a fan, but I'll.
I love it. Let's go.
You love it?
I think it's entertaining for me. It's very good.
So damn generic, but we'll get into it next week. I'm not a fan of it at all, but we'll get into that next week. So that's what we're gonna. So if you guys want to follow along with that, make sure you guys watch.
Check that out. Check that out. It's on Crunchyroll.
And we'll get into that next week.
Right on.
Otherwise, that's gonna be it.
Yep, that's it.
From all of us here at Geek Off The Street. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Trent.
My name is Mark.
And this has been Geek Off The Street. Just wait to see it.
Shh. Don't say anything.
Oh, man.
I was waiting for you to say something too. You're like, okay, so I can say anything.
I was actually kind of like, I had this like weird out of body moment. I was like, where am I right now? I was like, what's going on right now?